we're making smoked chicken thighs, bone in, skin on. Welcome to Impossibly Kosher. My name is Ben, and I love chicken, especially chicken thighs. They're juicy, they're delicious, they're so forgiving when you cook them. And honestly, just grilled up quickly or baked in the oven with a nice little marinade will do just fine. But to elevate my chicken just that much more, I like to smoke it. Now, if you have a real smoker, whether it's pellet or offset, then this video won't apply to you as much. But I'm still gonna share some pretty good tips that are universal when it comes to smoking. Most people don't have a fancy smoker. They don't have an Oklahoma Joe, they don't have a Yoder, they don't have a Traeger, but they do have a Weber Kettle. The Weber Kettle is a classic. It's a relatively inexpensive way to have charcoal grilling in your backyard. But what's the problem with a kettle grill? Most people think that it's limited to grilling steaks, burgers, hamburgers, maybe some fish. They keep in their mind that it's limiting. Now I'm going to challenge that way of thought and tell you that you can make incredible meals infused with tons of smoke right on your Weber Kettle. Whether that means long cooks, deep smokes, even cold smokes, you can achieve it on the Weber Kettle. Check out this playlist right here, compiled, filled with my videos of how to make everything in the Weber Kettle, whether it's a big brisket to ribs to chicken, different attachments and modifications to elevate your Weber Kettle experience. Everything is going to be found right there. Now, it won't be the same as a pellet grill or an offset, but it will do. Now, in one of my other videos, I actually describe what's the biggest challenge with cooking with an open flame like charcoal or wood. It's the airflow management. So you're controlling the airflow through the vents and the exhaust to see if you can balance it, because more airflow that comes in, the hotter it gets. Fire needs oxygen to burn hotter, and the less oxygen that's in there, the cooler it gets. Now, I've been using my Weber Kettle for years, and I love to continue using it. But one of my biggest challenges that really annoyed me was the playing with the vents. I don't have time to spend hours and hours playing up and down, and of course they fluctuate. And I was using my ThermoWorks signals for quite some time, and I found out that there was an attachment called the Billows that's also made by ThermoWorks, which is basically a fan that connects to the signals and controls the airflow in the Weber Kettle itself. Now, note of caution, you do have to modify your grill for the billows. I used to put it directly on the top vent, and that's not at all what you want to do. You don't get accurate readings. It's really completely inefficient. You need to drill a little hole towards the bottom of the base of the kettle so that it can pump air at a good rate directly to where the coals sit to light the fires up or to cut the air circulation and cool them down. For those of you who have seen my videos before, you may know that I use the Venom attachment on my Weber Kettle. I used my billows before, so I drilled the hole and then I got my Venom attachment. So now I use it much less, but it can be used as a smoke port. Now I cover it up and there's no problems. But it's really efficient, really nice to use. All right, that's enough rambling. I'm gonna show you how to make chicken thighs, bone in, skin on, crispy skin. And before I do, give this video a big thumbs up. Button's right down there. And leave me your comments, let me know what you think, how you like to control the airflow in your kettle. And without further ado, let's get to it. Of course, we start by spicing our chicken. I like a basic mix: salt, garlic powder, black pepper, nice amount of paprika to give that color, of course, and oil. Now mix it very well so everything gets nice and coated, and leave it for at least 30 minutes. Now the longer you leave it, the more the flavors will infuse into the chicken itself. So I actually like to leave it overnight in the fridge. But if you're making a quick dinner, leave it 30 minutes to an hour in the fridge is ideal. You want to start from a cold spot, that way the chicken absorbs the most smoke as it comes up to temp. Now let's set up the grill. We're going to be using an indirect cook. Basically, that's two zones, a hot zone and a cold zone. In the hot zone, I'm actually only going to be lighting a portion of the coals so that they can burn through nicely. If I put in way too many hot coals, the whole kettle will be way too hot. The ThermoWorks billows won't have an easy time controlling it, and even if it does, it's going to run way too hot. Better to start off small and to grow than too much and, well, then you're stuck. So get a couple of coals in a chimney and light them up. When you're cooking chicken, you don't want a wood that's too intense and too overpowering. So honestly, I like to stick with fruitier wood chips, whether that's cherry, pecan, apple is also very good. And I spread them around the charcoal, so as they continue to light, they're gonna light different ones. You'll get an even smoke throughout the cook. Now I add the billows onto the smoke part, connect it up to the signals, and stick around till the end. I'm gonna share how the billows perform throughout this cook. The chimney is lit, add them to the side of your basket of charcoals. The grates go back on, your cover goes on. Oops, forgot to add on my air temp probe. The air probe actually is very important. It tells the signals, what's the temp inside, which then dictates if the billows should be blowing more air or less. You want to put it away from the fire so you get an accurate reading. And now in the ThermalWorks app, I set the target temp to 225 and I wait for it to come up. Now you can go and relax for a couple minutes while the kettle comes up to temperature. And you want it to stay there for about 15 to 20 minutes so that it stabilizes.
Soon after.
Now it's time to cook. We get our probe in our chicken, and on the grill it goes away from the fire. You don't want it directly above the coals, you want it away from the heat source. Hence, indirect, not directly open over flames, get it? Now, like I mentioned, the chicken is actually still cold, which will allow it to absorb way more smoke flavor. Now keep in mind, chicken is safe to eat at 175 for dark meat. So we're setting it at 135, and we're gonna be doing a direct grill after to bring it all the way up. Now, if you haven't already, now you can go and have a beer, go relax, watch another video. Here I'm gonna link my venom attachment with making some short ribs. Really, really delicious. We can compare the billows and the venom attachment to see which one is better for you. And while you're at it, like I mentioned, give this video a thumbs up and leave me your feedback, if any, comments, inquiries in the comment section. I'm not gonna bore you waiting here for an hour, so let's jump ahead. Internal temperature reading is 133, time to come out. Now I'm gonna be cooking it on direct heat. So I move them directly over the coals, starting with skin down to get a nice crispy skin. Once you put it on, open your vents completely and close the lid. Keep flipping it every 2 minutes until you get a reading of 175 internal temperature. What you're gonna be left with is a crispy skin and a fully cooked chicken thigh. Now I'm gonna leave a link to all the things that I use in the description section, including the ThermalWorks billows and signals and the ThermaPen, so you guys can check them out. Now, like I mentioned, once you hit that 175 Fahrenheit, it's done. Let's take the reading, 185. We are perfect. Now off the grill it goes for 10 minutes to rest, and then it's digging in time. But let's see how it came out. All right, moment of truth, taste test. Perfect smokiness, perfect flavor. Cooking on charcoal is the best, especially with chicken. Absolutely delicious. Definitely gonna be making this one again. I cannot wait to dig in. And guys, that's how you make smoked chicken thighs on a Weber Kettle. As promised, let's go over how this cook went, how the billows performed, and let's look at the graph for a moment. First, let's talk about what the billows is. The billows is just a fan. It controls the airflow that is being pushed into the kettle itself around the charcoals. And that's why the two go hand in hand. The signal gets an air temperature or an ambient temperature of the grill from the probe that we attach onto the grates. It says, okay, it's too cold compared to the target temp, and it tells the billows to start pumping some air. And as it comes up, it knows right away that, okay, we're coming at a much faster rate, time to cut the airflow. And it starts to either pulse it or to cut it completely. Now, because it's a live fire, you'll never get a perfect constant temperature, but the goal is to have as little fluctuation around your target temperature as possible. In reality, if you're able to keep a 25 degrees Fahrenheit fluctuation plus or minus, that's a really good spot to be in. So let's look at how well or how poorly the billows was able to control this cook. We started at 3 p.m. and set it at 225. Now you can see by that line that it climbed steadily. It was blowing full air, which is represented by the yellow line. Now guys, you can actually see that it was blowing completely, which is represented by that firm yellow line. When it pulses, it's dotted line. When it's a firm line, it's blowing air regularly. And then when it's gray, it's cut out completely. And you can see that the temperature is rising pretty consistently. Then there's that major drop. That's when I lifted the lid and got the chickens in. And you can see they correspond with when the internal temperature probe starts reading. And the ambient temperature is reading at about 222 or 220, which is the green line, which is just right. Now you can see that the chicken is rising for about 25 minutes consistently. The temperatures is holding pretty steady, just shy of that 225 degree Fahrenheit target, which is really not bad. Now you can see that it overshot a bit. Now I open the lid to add in the side dish that I was making, so that's where it drops off. And I actually post that one on the Instagram channel. I'll leave a link for it in the comment section. But you can see, guys, it's really holding the temperature quite well. Now you can see the chicken hits that 135 mark. I bumped the temperature up much higher. The fan goes on in full swing, and that's really when I started the direct grilling. I gave it a couple minutes and right away onto the heat. And you can see the ups and downs. That's when I kept opening the lid and closing it back. That's what happens. So, final thoughts. The billows was my companion for quite a while until I got my venom attachment, which I'll leave a link to that video in the comment section. That one doesn't require any modifications or adjustments, so it really is quite a cool tool. But the billows is able to hold temps pretty consistently, pretty well, and honestly, no complaints. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell, give us a thumbs up, and leave me some feedback in the comment section. Let me know what you guys thought. Oh, by the way, in the end screen, there's gonna be 2 videos that you definitely wanna check out. All right, I'll see you in the next one.